All right, welcome, Geek Outings. Today, we are covering the latest episode of Clone Wars, Episode 9, Old Friends Not Forgotten, the beginning of what I assume will be the last story arc ever of Clone Wars. Editor, San Antonio, Texas, here with four together, three other lifelong friends in three different cities, here to talk about geeky things because that's just what we do.
And that's what we do is right. Bobby Joel Cole, as always, coming to you from Santa Monica, California. Still in the days of quarantine, coronavirus, but also in the days of Clone War climactic episodes. Holy crap, can't wait to get to talking about this. This is a really good one. Happy to be a part of this. Even though we're stuck inside, we're not stopping our geeking out. So let's get on with the geeking on.
Boba Fresh coming to you. I missed y'all. Can't wait to talk about this episode.
Rob Lucy coming at you from the moon, high above the planet Earth. Got to get away. Got to quarantine myself far away. But glad to be here virtually with my lifelong friends, 4 different cities. Excited to talk about this final story arc. Excited and sad because it is going to be the final story arc. And just as we're introducing ourselves, please like, comment, subscribe for the newest videos. This introduction is done, but I would like to talk about the introduction to this latest Clone Wars episode. A bit different if you watch closely. And I watched it several times, went back to previous episodes. They open this bigger and badder than they do normally. You got Lucasfilm's production going across the screen, and then you get slammed with the music and Clone Wars in red, episode 1 of the final story arc. Bobby, I'd like to know, because this is a Ahsoka heavy episode, and you're new to Ahsoka. What did you think of this episode?
I thought that this episode was the best episode I've seen this entire season. Got to tell you that, you guys have been telling me that Ahsoka's this great character, and the last story arc was a little, lukewarm, left me a little lukewarm on it. She was kind of cool. She showed some signs of being cool. But this episode, let me just say, the series went from being so good to so good. Because she won me over, and I see why Anakin loves her, I see why everyone loves her. She won me over, not to get out of chronological order, but in the I'll race you to the surface sequence, couldn't help but fall in love with that character. She's so badass, and this episode, by far my favorite that I've seen, even though I'm only this one season deep into it, by far my favorite. Okay.
I quite honestly have always pictured Ahsoka as a little bit of a weight, an anchor for the show, especially in the early seasons, because she's so young and she's such a window in for younger viewers, which is fine because it's designed for, again, this juvenile audience and it's a juvenile story at its heart. With that said, as we get to this point here, I genuinely really like Ahsoka, borderline lover, and it is possibly one of the best, if not, honestly, the best actual story arc in all of Star Wars, because she wasn't bound by the movie. She wasn't handcuffed to do something that had to happen in episode 3. The fact that she gets to be like, cool, you get to do whatever the fuck you want to, and now we get to like do this, really allowed them to have more freedom with her in a lengthier amount of time than any other character that I think we've seen maybe ever, because we've got 7 seasons with how many episodes per season, as opposed to, again, an Anakin who's in every season, but we know where Anakin's going. We know where the train's going for everyone else. And then Ahsoka's the only person who's going off-road with her story, and that's dope. Like
yeah.
dope.
But since you're bringing up the Anakin thing, and Lucy, I wanted to get your take on it as well, but then we should go like chronologically through the episode. But yeah, something that you had mentioned before, Strutter, and I know I'm attributing this one correctly, is that something that's beautiful about this Clone Wars, it is giving us the Anakin that we are dreading to see fall to the dark side, because he has this swagger. He has this bravado to him. That you're like, he is such a badass. And then knowing what's going to happen to him, you're like, damn it, it's going to be too much. He's, you know, he's going to not be able to resist the urge. So it's like, but yeah, we never got that in the movies. We really didn't. Hayden Christensen never gave us that sort of character we bonded with and rooted for. You know,
I agree, and I think that, you know, going into the chronological order and just opening up with the bridge battle.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm not a military man. Everything about this episode strategically and tactically seems to be one of the stupidest meat grinders that I've ever seen. On Lucy's point of them just not giving a fuck about their lives. If you have a jetpack squad, send the jetpack squad first. Why are you making this battalion trudge through this laser fire? They're just lined up like a firing squad. But to get to your point, so Kenobi is having a tough time, you know, getting everything together, and him and Cody have to fall back and make their whole thing. And Anakin, to get to your swagger issue, Anakin just swaggers the fuck up, which was so jerky. It was the jerkiest I've ever seen this guy. I was like, okay, this guy can actually fall to the dark side, and I feel it. But I'm like, we are a day away from the whiny Hayden Christensen directorial character, and like they've retconned his attitude in a beautiful way. Like, I like this guy, but it is so unbelievable because, again, we know the station that this train has to end up on, and it's just so unbelievable. Lucy, what do you think about the bridge battle?
Neither the Empire nor the Republic are good in, you know, like, who's less evil? Is that the discussion that we're going to have at the end of it? But, you know, maybe that's for the wrap-up episode.
Not to sidetrack, but I've been thinking about that. And at the end of the day, like, can anyone that's committing war, that's in the act of war, be good? Their ideals are different than the actual actions, correct?
Like, that's absolutely 100%, man. And to what Bobby was saying, the arrogance, and what you were saying, the arrogance of him just walking up there and being like, "Oh, Obi-Wan, yeah, I got this." Yeah, he's got his foot, like, he's deep into the dark side at this point in time, and Obi-Wan is like, oh, I've lost so much respect for Obi-Wan in the last little while. Like, come on, dude. 2 things he failed on, like, hey, like, walk the path. That's not the light side. First, he should call that out if he's still technically Anakin's master at this point in time, which he's not acting like. He's acting like, oh, he's the man. I'm just going to defer to him from this point.
Yeah, totally. He doesn't. He doesn't give him the deference of Obi-Wan being his master.
I know where this argument would end. I would lose anyway. So go do whatever you want to do, Anakin.
Yeah, I know better than trying to stop you. Like, what? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they talk about treaties, the 100 years of treaties that they're about to violate for going to Mandalore. But that is later. Great opening sequence. Ed, what did you think of the opening sequence?
Wait. Before you, just one thing I got to say about that is my problem with the main opening scene with Obi-Wan there is cutting an incoming mortar shell in half does not diffuse it. And that's what he did with the very first thing. And I expected a huge explosion, and no, we just cut it in half. So anyway, sorry, Ed.
No, I thought it was a good intro. It reminded me of Planet of the Apes, when the apes come out from under the bridge and attack all the cops and shit. It was kind of like that. It was dope. It was interesting. But then after that, you know, they get the mysterious transmission, taking us to the next scene on what is it, the Fulcrum band or whatever, and that's the one they name drop Saw Gerrera, the guy Forrest Whitaker from Rogue One. He's also in Rebels. His character. That was cool, and of course it's not Saw Gerrera, it's Ahsoka, and you get that reintroduction, and it's kind of heartwarming, kind of sweet, kind of bittersweet. It's just watching her come out of the ship and fight right after. It's just a good, like you said, Strouder. It is like all about her. And from that first episode, if you consider the movie, the Clone Wars animated movie that came out before the series, the first episodes, she's like fucking 10 years old, man. She's like a little girl. Like, I just been rewatching it because every time you watch Clone Wars, it automatically like suggests that next. So I keep watching it, and seeing her now like this, it is like a nice ribbon and bow on her whole story. And then I mean, May still got Mandalorian season 2. You know what I mean? So he's just gonna get, I assume, progressively better.
But Ed, who was the only way I can remember her name is I wanted to call her Mrs. Boca Raton. But who is Bo-Katan's sister they keep referencing?
Duchess Satine, the one that Obi-Wan was like. So Anakin's not the only one to be fucking around.
What?
Even though he's a Jedi, because he was messing around with this. She was the Queen of Mandalore for a while. But she wasn't messing with her when she was queen. I think they separated, or they couldn't be official because he's a Jedi and she's a just like Amidala and Anakin, same thing. And you know, she dies in his arms. So I think does Maul kill her? No.
And that was what, like in the Clone Wars series?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, by the way, makes Obi-Wan all the more bitchy. Like you said, that scene made you question him, like, you're letting Anakin punk you, like you're being a little bitch. And then the next scene when they're doing the whole political thing when after the reunion with everybody, it's amazing. R2's the first one to run up, and I think that just
I noticed that.
I think that solidifies like her identity of understanding droids more than people. So of course, you know, she mentioned that in an earlier episode, and so of course he's gonna run to her. But it was like nice, kind of bittersweet. But then you see like the whole political thing back and forth, and you know, they're like, Mandalorian, we need help now. Oh well, we got to go to Coruscant, and basically calling them you know, Palpatine's little whipping boy or little servant boys, which was pretty funny. And I don't know, you are seeing Obi-Wan be less of like the general or like the stand-up guy he was. Now he's much more like a politician. I don't think they've really shown that before, but it's kind of cool. It kind of makes sense because he is one of the ones that ends up going into a self-imposed exile or whatever because he fucked up.
You know, someone that you know is one of the biggest threats in the universe, and just like,
well, that's the other thing I was gonna say too.
What?
That's the other thing I was gonna say too, is that not only did Darth Maul kill Qui-Gon, his master, but he also killed the Duchess Satine, who was like the love of his life, and she died in his arms. And he's still like, well, I don't know, I got to go protect Coruscant, you know, and not like defend any honor or anything. So to me, really, it was really like a really hard slide in this episode. And I mean, if it's, you know, the last couple of episodes, it makes sense.
Yeah, I do want to mention one more thing. When he's posed with the question, he can't make his own decision. He has to say, I have to make the council make this decision. You know, I can't say you guys do this or we do that. It's going to be up to the council at this point in time. Dude, you're a major part of that council. Like, you can't make the call at this point. Besides that and the frustration I have with Obi-Wan, there's so many more good parts to this episode that I'd like to get into. So that the previous story arc, although I wasn't a huge fan of it, it did show a lot of Ahsoka's character development. And again, we'll go back to this Clone Wars is just as much about her character development as it was, I think, originally Anakin's. And as Rob was saying earlier, we know where Anakin's going to end up, but we've just watched Ahsoka and we've learned to love her over a longer period of time. And she basically was like, no, Obi-Wan, you know, your word is not, you know, ultimate for me. And even a little bit with Anakin, when they, at the very end, the last time these two will see each other before Anakin turns to the dark side and becomes Darth Vader, this is the last scene that they have forever. And they kind of have that longing look for each other. And he says, That's what friends do for each other. It has changed from a master Padawan relationship, you know, to a friendship relationship.
It's also I don't know if you noticed that since they're, I would say, non-conventional Jedi, both of them, they both left the order in their own way, Jedi way. Is that they don't say "May the Force be with you"? They say "Good luck."
Yeah, luck. Yeah, they brought that up too. Great point, Ed. Great point.
And that just said a lot to me right there. And then I definitely think that look Ahsoka saw, which was like sad because I think she knew she wasn't going to see him for a while. But then that little smirk, this was kind of messed up to me. That was her knowing that she would see him again later at some point in life, but not having the foresight enough to realize he's going to be Darth Vader the next time she sees him.
What do you guys make of that, though? The whole thing was like, yeah, you know, whatever. They don't believe in luck, but it's like, yeah, but I taught you better.
So I guess the next thing, would you guys think about the whole respect to Ahsoka from the clone army and everything?
I want to know how much time they had between the time that she landed on that ship and they met her in that hangar, because everyone had their helmet painted. How much time was that really?
It would only take 5 minutes if you were just doing it.
Yeah, I guess. So they're like, Ahsoka landed! Everybody get your helmets! We're painting this pattern.
Rob, how long would it take you to tag up that many helmets?
I mean, I assume I've got future tech, so a second, 2 seconds.
And that kind of leads me to believe we will be finishing out Clone Wars with the Ahsoka story arc, and they'll leave Revenge of the Sith for what ended up going down with Anakin, and Order 66, which is, you know, if he's just gotten there, Order 66 probably is coming in about 30 minutes if it's the Boba Fresh timeline.
Or this, what I was thinking, what if because they deemed this last season so successful, they do another movie, right? Because they did a Clone Wars movie already, right? What if they did a 90-minute Clone Wars movie to kind of wrap up the Order 66? I mean, it seems like a lot to do in 3 episodes, because it's an epic part of the story that hasn't been told yet. So I could see them more wanting to do that in the movie than at the end of the series, and this series leading up to that. But
let me mention a dope Ahsoka lightsaber scene. After she jumps out of the transport, bounces from ship to ship, saving people and taking people out, she lands on the landing platform and slows herself down by throwing the lightsabers into the ground, and then that huge explosion behind her. Dude, I got emotional. I was like, whoa!
That was an amazing scene.
That was, yes, it was definitely.
No, the whole I'll race you to the surface was an amazing scene. Where it's just like, you know, it's like jumping out of a plane without a parachute and just aiming. You know, you'll get one on the way down. Except she doesn't even do that. She just like takes off, aiming towards the ground, like and helping people. This guy that's stuck and can't get his ejector seat to go. She's like, "Oh yeah, no worries, here while I ride your plane down as it crashes." I mean, just so badass. Yeah, and then to land with the explosion behind her. I mean, the only thing they could have done is like made that slow motion to make it more like dramatic and ham-fisted. But yeah, it was absolutely great.
The Mandalorians that are betrothed to Darth Maul having their red painted armor, and the leader having the metal spikes out, which looked a little like the forge worker from Mandalorian, which I also thought was kind of interesting. The Chancellor, the Prime Minister from Mandalore, having a helmet very similar to Boba Fett's in color. It did have its gold trim on the end, which I thought was interesting. So it was maybe not the helmet, but definitely a cool nod. And all in all, like, yeah, everything that transpired action-wise to get there throughout the initial assault and invasion was cool.
So
one of the things that I noticed, all those same things, the color of the armor was dope. I thought that was Boba Fett light colors. And at the very first time he's talking to, I thought it was Sabine from Rebels, with the purple hair, kind of small, turns around. I had to watch it a couple times to realize, okay, that's not Sabine. But they do reference Sabine's mom twice. She's the spy working for Boca Raton. So Uri Wren is Sabine Wren's mom from Rebels.
You called her Boca Raton.
You know,
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, yeah, Bo-Katan. Okay, so Bo-Katan. So yeah, they're leading a lot of this stuff is filling in some backstory for what happens in Rebels and what happens in the movies coming up, which I thought was amazing. Amazing that they've referenced Sabine's mom, which she's one of my favorite characters from Star Wars Rebels as well. And we know that Darth Maul, Ahsoka, Darth Vader, they all show up in Rebels too. Part of the history of the Mandalorians is they're a warrior culture and have been for tens of thousands of years. Gosh, I don't know who they'd be analogous to. But yeah, no, they live to expand their reach in the universe as far as their lore is set up. And the Empire ultimately, I should say the Republic, and the puts them inside a box, lets them do their own thing as long as they don't step out of it, just like they don't go into the Outer Rim. And the Empire is going to be like, nah. Once the Empire takes over, leading up into it, there's the purge of Mandalore and all that stuff going forward. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here.
And that's when all the Beskar gets taken?
What's that? When all the Beskar gets taken, except for the stuff on the moon. Yes, exactly. Signing out from Southern Oregon. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Let's see what you guys' thoughts on this episode. We'd love to hear them and see if we can get back to you on that. Peace.
And Bob and Joel, Cole, as always, it was fun geeking out here from Santa Monica, California. 4 different cities. Well, we've been whittled down to 3 different cities with 3 good friends. One of our good friends was quarantined away mid-show, but that's all right. That's the way show business goes. The show must go on. So Ed will be with us next week. And like as Rob Lucy said, if you like this stuff, like and subscribe and check out our other videos because we have a lot of fun geeking out in this stuff. And until then, keep on geeking on.
Boba Fresh from San Francisco, just saying really appreciate everyone that has been tuning in. Love talking with these guys about some geeky stuff, and I'm happy to have the privilege to show you and serve you in the world of geektitude. Geek on and geek out.